Our presenter is Saunders College of Business alumna Joanne Jaworski, Success and Performance Coach with True Authentic Power. Joanne's career path is unique. She enjoyed 15 successful years in corporate sales, including being a major account rep for companies such as Xerox, Fuji, and Toys R Us. When her life took a big turn, events led her to study cutting-edge, life-enhancing avenues not commonly talked about or used in business. Joanne has since combined her past sales and business success with the power of energy and the subconscious mind. Her private coaching practice has grown almost completely by referral, and she has developed a passion and desire to share powerful tools seldom used in business thinking. In addition to her successful practice, Joanne is a contributing author to the 2013 Amazon best-selling book, Ready, Aim, Influence. If you are hitting walls in your career, feeling unfulfilled despite doing all the right things, or experiencing resistance and feeling blocked from achieving your deepest desires, you've tuned in to the right webinar. Welcome, Joanne, and let's get started.
So I am so excited to be here with you. I'm going to share some stories, some information, and a powerful, powerful technique that I know brings enlightenment and creates empowering results. So I'm going to start with some stories, and I'm going to take a little bit of time on these stories. So hang on, because we'll get to the nitty-gritty as I go through. But we're going to be talking about releasing hidden blocks, and I think some of the best ways to do that is through stories, so that you can hear what I'm talking about, not just be taught how this works. So we're going to be talking about releasing the hidden blocks, preventing your greatest manifestation. And as we go through this, you'll have a chance to ask some questions. So let's get started. We are always using our energy, but do you realize it? And how are you using your energy in your life and your career? Because you may be going along, but you may not be realizing what you're doing in certain ways. Is it working for you? Is your energy working against you? Do you know that you might be limiting your success because of a hidden agenda that's running within you, energetically or subconsciously? And those are so powerful. Do you know that your energy will work whether you use it in the ways that are beneficial or not? So I want to give you some tapping examples and talk to you about some of these stories. The first one I want to tell you about is I was asked to present at the Lake Placid Olympic Training Center for the Olympians going out for seats for competition in Europe. And as I did this presentation, I asked the clinic manager to give me a case study. I was going to do it for free because just talking about this doesn't show you what's possible, and I wanted them to have a case study that would show what was possible. So he introduced me to a 27-year-old female bobsled driver of a two-man team, and prior to my meeting her, she had had an injury that required surgery. She was devastated by it. She was depressed by it. Her body wasn't healing. She had a level 6 out of 10 pain, and it felt like she had a hole in her knee. She wasn't recovering, and he had said to me, at any point in time, I think she's going to come in and just say, that's it, I'm done, I can't do it. But what happened instead was we went through 5 sessions, and I'm telling you this, it's a physical story, but it's a career story and emotional story as well. So the first night I worked with her, and sessions are an hour, so I worked with her for an hour. Her pain completely eliminated, and here's why. Everybody thinks it's associated with the obvious. I had an injury, I had surgery, my body won't heal, what's going on, my physical is letting me down. But it was all emotional, and here's why. She had gotten a new coach, and her coach had suggested that all the team members that he coached play a game of soccer together. Now, it was her belief that I should never do that unless I'm going out for my sport or unless I'm going to be training in my sport, because that I know what to expect. I don't really like to play sports. Okay, so that's the first clue. She went against her intuition. Second thing was, as they were going for the same ball, the coach ended up kicking her in the knee, which is what caused her surgery 13 weeks before I met her. So think about that for a second. Just put yourself in that situation. She's going along on a career. It's moving along. She's getting ready to compete in Europe. And now she's got this injury by someone who convinced her to do what she didn't want to do. She's got all the anger, frustration, depression, and pain. And how do you let that go? In the first hour, we dealt with all those emotions that got locked in her physical body, in her knee. And those kind of things can lock into creating blocks or walls in your career. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. So in the first session, she was completely out of pain to the point where she was doing squats and trying to aggravate her knee as if to say, where the heck did it go? I wish you could have seen her face. What happened was it came back within a couple of days. So the next week when we met by phone, I asked her how was she feeling, and she said it came roaring back. And I said, what happened? And I would ask you all of this to think about when you are blocked, when you can't go forward, when did it start, and what was going on? And what she told me was, on the day that it came screaming back, it was because she was watching competition and someone was trying out for her seat. She wasn't medically cleared, so she couldn't go forward. So here she is, already having a driver position. Now she's watching someone else go for her position, for her seat. And all that pain came rearing up again. Once again, we cleared it completely, and in the 5 sessions, it completely went away. She was medically cleared, and the clinic manager said, that is unprecedented results. What I want you to take away from that was, it wasn't what was obvious, it was what was hidden, and it was emotionally hidden. So the next story is kind of a twofold. It's kind of a part of my story, and it's part of a client's story. So I had been saying to clients I wanted to do a program of products and services, videos and audios. And I wasn't sure how that was going to look, except I kind of figured I would do it in front of my computer screen and just guide people through a tapping. Well, one of my clients, I had met her, and she was really hitting walls in her career. She's a PhD, in her 50s, and still frustrated that why the heck do I have bosses that don't have my back, or that are just, you know, I'm working like a dog and where's the results? And she had had that same feeling for years. She kept hitting the same wall, the same wall, the same wall. I'll just tell me what to do, I'll do what you want, but have my back and, you know, help me along in my career. It wasn't happening. So we did some tapping, and what it wove back to was something that happened to her between the age of 7 or 8. Now, I won't necessarily get into the details of that, but it was an event that locked in her energy and said, from this point on, this will be a problem. And it was related to an authority figure. Again, something unseen that got locked in energetically and subconsciously, and you may not know that that's happening. But when you're hitting the walls, the first thing I ask somebody to do, go back to when did it start and what was happening emotionally. And people don't think that way. You're in your career. You don't put emotions into your career. But, oh, yes, you do. Next thing, okay, let's talk about somebody who's having a block in your love life, which is absolutely going to affect your career. If you're having trouble in that, you know, in a deep love relationship, it can affect you. Okay, so the next story I have is a guy who came to me. He was 32, 33, and a nice-looking guy, had a good job, had all the criteria that you would think would make for a good relationship person. Athletic, considerate, but nothing was working, and every 2 years, he would go to a new girlfriend. And he said, I see the pattern, I don't know why it's happening, I don't know what I'm doing, but my friends are getting married, they're having families, I want that too, and I can't seem to get there. We did 3 sessions, and all of it, the same thing, kind of thing, went back to a parental situation that he saw that locked into his energy as if to say, don't go there, don't get married, it's painful, marriage will bring you trouble. So are you hearing that there's a pattern beyond just the obvious? So what about WROC-TV, Channel 8 here in Rochester, did a PTSD story. Now, here's the severity of this. We're talking PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress. If this tapping technique that we're going to talk about can relieve post-traumatic stress, imagine what it can do for your life. I mean, PTSD, we're talking war stories. This gentleman was part of a stress relief project that he got 6 free sessions as part of the project. He was severely triggered by PTSD triggers. He had been overseas and deployed a few different times, was very depressed, suicidal feeling, and in 6 sessions, it didn't release it completely, but we're talking 6 hours as opposed to you know, things that can lock into your energy that are as severe as war trauma. So if it can help for PTSD, imagine if you apply this to your career, what it can do. Bones for, I'll go through the rest of these really quickly because I want to be able to get to the nitty-gritty here, but hang with me because I want you to hear the variety here. Bone spur pain, it was on an x-ray. The client said to me, no, I have this constant pain. It's not emotional, it's physical. I saw it on the x-ray. Okay, what that really triggered back to, I said, when did it start? And lo and behold, he was going through a divorce. Do you ever hear the comments of people say, oh, there's a pain in my neck? Well, in this case, it was pretty literal. He eventually got out of that pain completely. Childhood bullying, terror controlled her until she tapped. This particular client had severe social anxiety to the point where she would physically get sick to get out of situations. It was devastating for her. It controlled her career. She ended up leaving a job because she got such a bullying boss, which was an energetic pattern from being bullied as a child. You may not put these things together, but they hold in our energy. They're very powerful. So when you're hitting the walls and you're thinking, what the heck is wrong with me? You might be holding something energetically you don't even know is there. Just the last sample here. I had a client who was house hunting, and she and her husband found a house that they absolutely loved, but there was an encroachment from the neighbor next door onto their property. And it kind of became an escalating issue, and then there was another thing, and then there was another thing, and then the sale wasn't going through, and she said, I'm so frustrated, help me tap on this. And she said, I want my lawyer to fight for this. And I said, no, you don't, because you're not in alignment. If you have to fight for something, something is out of sync, you're energetically not lined up with it, I suggest you walk away, which they did because it became too much of a hassle. And within a couple weeks, after tapping of what she wanted, and tapping is this tool we're going to talk about, also known as EFT, when she tapped in what she wanted and released the angst of, oh, we'll never find the house that we want, a house showed up within a couple of weeks. It's amazing when you change your energy how simple things can work. So I want to point out just some of the experts who use tapping that you may not know.
Before we go on with that, Joanne, let's pull up your first poll question, because I think we want to get sort of a temperature of the room, if you will, of where people are with this. So our first poll question appears there on the side panel, and our question is whether or not our audience can see that maybe there's more to this whole story than what they really think. So give us your thoughts. So getting the answers going there. Like, most people seem to think, yeah, there's something intriguing here. Okay? So go ahead. Let's talk about the people.
So as I go through this, I will be telling you of how this happens and what you can do about it. So hang on just for a little bit further. There are experts who are not only promoting this technique, but use it themselves. Many of you probably know about Jack Canfield, very successful author of Chicken Soup for the Soul series. He not only uses it, he promotes it. Actually, he had a ceiling to his fee that he could charge for speaking engagements, and he lifted that with tapping. Louise Hay, she's an author and publisher of Hay House Publishing, very successful woman. She now promotes tapping. Cheryl Richardson has been using it for 20 years, New York Times bestseller, international coach. Wayne Dyer, who passed away not all that long ago, but he also was promoting tapping, New York Times bestseller, inspirational speaker. Iyanla Van Zandt, host of, she's on the Oprah channel, on the OWN channel. She does Iyanla Fix My Life. They don't show this on camera, but Iyanla has spoken about how not only tapping turned around her life after she lost all her success and regained it, but she also taps with her clients that she's using on the, or that she sees on the show. Whoopi Goldberg used this to get over fear of flying. She's a co-host of The View, and I didn't put this in, but a successful, what do you call that? She's in movies. Dr. Joseph McCullough, he's an osteopath, very well known in the alternative website, circles. He also promotes it and has been for years. Dr. Christiane Northrup, she's an OBGYN, MD, and she's a women's health advocate, worldwide known. These are experts who are not only using tapping, but promoting it themselves. So I just want you to see, this may sound like it's a, not very well known, but it's starting to really gain because people are hearing about it, and that's exactly the reason I wanted to do this webinar.
Joanne, let's interject for 1 minute because we have a question that says, what happens if you don't remember or know what has caused the current situation? So how do you really get about defining what the root issue is?
Well, that's coming up in just a couple slides, so if you can hang tight, you'll probably get an answer really quickly. So I wanted to tell you the benefits of tapping and what this technique is all about, and then we're going to go into how and why that this stuff happens and how you can use tapping to release it. So have you ever gone into a fight or flight where you're kind of in an anger fog and you're thinking, oh my God, that took me off course. What the heck happened here? Or you've gotten into such an anxious situation and it puts you into, you're shaking and you're nervous. Those are actually a kind of a fight, flight, freeze mode. And what happens in that situation when you need your logical thinking the most, the amygdala part of the brain goes into, get the heck out of there. This is scary. This is dangerous. On some level, it's perceived as a danger. And when you go into that fog, your brain actually shuts off so that all your energy can say, run, get out of here. This is dangerous. Tapping, when you do tapping, and I'm going to explain how you do tapping as well, so hold tight just a little bit. Tapping also reduces the stress hormone cortisol. It also reveals and releases beliefs that are limiting our desires. It releases stuck emotions of fear and overwhelm, the frustration, the hurts, the sadness, the grief, and all of that can, affect every part of your life, not just your career, but many parts of your life. Tapping also promotes relaxation and reveals your true self, and I'll get to that in a minute too. So, to get to your question, how do these beliefs start? I call them the negative meats. And that's modeling from your family, what you learned before the age of 7. We are like a sponge before the age of 7. Our brain waves go into what we see, what we feel, what we hear, as if that's the way life works, period. No question, no discernment. So whatever you saw modeled for you can affect you. And I mentioned a couple of those stories of before the age of 10, those people were affected by some things that got linked and locked in. Emotions can be anchored into success in a negative way or a positive way, as in the story with the Lake Placid Olympic person. Patterns and perceptions then create protection. And it's not that you're crazy, it's that you're hitting a wall that says this is dangerous, watch out. This is dangerous, be careful. So we're going to see how those things happen. So if you're in a place right now where you can close your eyes and I want you to get into, we talk about the mind-body-spirit connection all the time, but, how do you really do that? So I just want you to start bringing some of your attention into what your words do, and we're going to go far beyond words, but just to give you an example. If you're in a place, close your eyes and let the feelings or the thoughts that you're thinking rise up as you say these words out loud. Well, you don't have to say them out loud, but they have more an effect if you say them out loud. So say the word anxiety. Does your body get tense? Does it get tighter? Do you think of a certain event or situation? What about the word hope? Tense? Tight? That doesn't happen? What are the thoughts and feelings that come up automatically? Frustration. What is your body doing? Do you feel like you're pulled in? What about passion? And these are biggies. What about money or success? Let a feeling rise up, and when you get this recording, you can go back, and I would really take some time with this because that's going to be the start of trying to see what's locked, what comes up, what feelings start to surface. So what did you feel as you react to some of those words? Were you tense, tight, calm? What happened to you inside? What thoughts come to your mind when you said the word money or success or love? It doesn't matter what the word is, something that you're blocked. Do you think there's not enough? When you think of success, it's going to be, I have to work hard and then I'll make money. Is it going to be time-consuming, 24/7 in order for you to be successful? Think of those kind of things that you would associate with those words, because that's starting to give you some of those hidden beliefs and hidden energies that might be going in your body. So let's go on to the next. Here we go. There we go. So this is how you start to find out what happened and what you're holding as truth. When you think, I mentioned before the age of 7, we're like a sponge. And it's a very big point in time because you may be taking on things that are beliefs handed down through generations that you don't even know, that you're assuming are real because you're taking things in like a sponge, but they might not, there might be a whole different scenario that could be possible. So go back to what did you, we're going to focus on success here. So what did you learn about success growing up? Did you see struggle or poverty or greed? Was there suffering, ease, joy? And this can apply to, you know, a love situation, a friendship situation. It can apply to anything where you're stuck, but we're focusing on success right here. Was there gratitude or comfort? Were your parents happy and joyful in their job or their career? What did you see that was modeled for you that you might be mimicking in an unconscious way? Was it difficult to make money or keep money in your household, or did you see something with crisis around money? What did you hear about money? There's not enough, we can't afford it, work hard. Do you have a fear of debt? Was there a fear of debt growing up? So you can see some of those things anchor into the beliefs. That's what starts the energetic blocks. Okay, so let's go, and I mentioned the negative meats. Okay, that's the modeling. Let's go to the emotions. What feelings are attached to success for you? Do you even consider what you love to do, or do you do what you're supposed to do? And a lot of times when people don't have clarity about what they want, it's because it's a form of protection, or you didn't know you could figure it out in a different way. What's the downside when you think about doing what you love? Does it scare you? Is it impossible? Fear can be a form of protection, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Who won't like it if you're successful or happy? And I'm telling you, this can be a biggie. Guilt can be protection. They won't like me if I go beyond them. I won't have the same friends. What if I go beyond what my family's capable of and they're jealous or guilt? All of that can play into why you get attached to some of the angles and avenues that you've locked into your energy. I won't be able to handle what I want because I believe. And I would suggest if you get this recording, some of these questions, you might go back and just ponder. I'm trying to go through them quickly just because I have a lot of information to give you. But when you actually sit with some of these, they will reveal to you what's holding, and then I'll be telling you how you can get rid of this, or release it. If I get my desired outcome, I'm afraid of danger needs protection. People block themselves all the time out of protection. I'm not where I want to be because, so fill in the blank, and that makes me feel. What I'm trying to do with some of these questions is get you into the mind-body-spirit connection, because if you're blocking what you love, you're not listening to your intuition. If you're stuck with emotions, there's some danger attached there. If you are not getting your desired outcome, there's something there that says it might not be okay on some level. And these initial questions kind of get to what's going on. So did you ever have threats to your success or to someone else's success that you may have watched? And I've mentioned a number of times now, you go back to the earliest memories, because a lot of times before the age of 7, that's where things get locked in that you're not even aware are replaying in you. So go back to a success that you had. And this could be, everybody wants to talk about, oh, but that stuff is over. Well, I'm telling you, if it got locked into your energy, it is far from over. And when we clear things energetically, we go back to the earliest memories, because that's kind of what started the interruption in your energy and in your subconscious belief. And when you can clear that out, it's amazing. It's like a house of cards. You take out the bottom of the house of cards and the rest of it falls apart. So who might have been jealous when you got your first success? And I'm talking even, you know, a star in school, or you were in a play where you got great applause and somebody else was jealous or bothered by it or didn't like the fact that you were doing better than they were. Have you anchored some kind of tragedy to success or your accomplishment? Did you see a relationship end in someone else's? You know, oh, they made all this money, but their family fell apart. Did you see any of that kind of trauma or tragedy associated with success? And here's the thing I want to stress too. People will say, oh, but that was a long time ago and it was such a little thing, you know. But when you are 7, you're looking at it now from an adult mind. When you have those kind of experiences at 7, they're huge, and they make a huge impact, not only in an interruption to your energy, but also kind of formulate beliefs of, I'm not going to be like that, I don't want to be wealthy because they're greedy, or it'll ruin the family. Those kind of beliefs get stuck unconsciously. So we're talking about subconscious and energetic links. Did you get criticized or alienated, which can certainly affect the safety of belonging and being part of community? Were you too overwhelmed or pushed or exhausted to get those great grades in school? You know, it was so hard to keep up. Songwriters will talk about that. Oh, the first, couple songs were such a hit, and now they feel the pressure to keep up. It's too overwhelming to keep up. What consequences did you encounter? What did you lose? What do you think you might lose if you're successful? Because a lot of that could be triggered by old beliefs that you don't even know are there.
Okay, we've got another poll question, Joanne.
Okay.
I think. Let's bring up, nope, not number 2, number 3. There we go. So for the people in the audience, did you realize that subconscious family modeling and stuck emotions and patterns might be controlling, blocking your desires? So it's a question of whether or not you actually understood how deeply things that happened early on can impact you throughout your life.
Okay. All right. So what happens as the third part of the meat is the protective patterns. And if you look over this list, procrastination, people and I've done it too. We beat ourselves up when we're procrastinating. What the heck is wrong with me? Why can't I get off the mark? I know I should do this. It's hanging on us and we're not moving forward. I want to point out, because all of these, and more than this, but I wanted to put the ones that I see a lot, are protective patterns. You're not lazy, you're not crazy, you're not stupid. On some level, unconsciously or energetically, you are scared and you're blocking out of protection. So when you procrastinate, a lot of times it's what are you afraid will happen when you get whatever it is done that needs to be done. So if it's a piece of artwork, oh, they'll criticize me, they'll judge me. If it's a report, well, I have such a boss that would find mistakes wrong with everything. Procrastination is a protection, and once you realize that and start to work with it on that level, a lot of things can change. First of all, you'll be much kinder to yourself because it's not what you think. Putting everyone else first is a huge diversion to keep you off task. If I do for them, then maybe I'll get what I want. Well, it's wonderful to give, but if you are coming last or putting everyone else first, you are doing a disservice to your journey and your life. Getting easily diverted and off course. Oh, I got to handle this, and shotgun approach. Oh, this over here and this over here. It's a confusion, and it works as a protection. What about reoccurring sabotage or what seems like they're sabotaging you? That's really a reflection of what's going on energetically for you. And when you clear that out, and I know that might be new to a lot of people, no, it's really about them. No, I'm telling you, it's really about you. When you intend to do one thing but you do another. When you remain stuck in excuses, I can't because. I don't even like the word excuses, reasons. Let's put reasons because it's even softer. If you're saying I can't because, what is that fill in that you say all the time? Because that's part of going to give you a clue to what you're holding on energetically. When you ignore your intuition, and I'm telling you right now, men have as strong intuition as women do. I don't even like that phrase of women's intuition because men just are not taught to use it. They're doers. They do what they're taught to do. They're more bullet kind of people. You're not listening to your gut instinct. When your intuition comes, it's like, it's bright and sunny out and there's no sign of any snow, and then you really get caught without a snow brush, and something told you, take a snow brush. I don't know, it looks like it might snow. I'm in Rochester, we're talking about snow still here in April. It's those kind of nudges. When you start paying attention to those, it's like working a muscle. Your intuition gets stronger and stronger. Like I said, these are all protective patterns when you're not paying attention to what's really underneath them. And I hope that's you're finding some comfort to that, because there are so many other reasons that are unseen that you may not even have known were related to your success. So I don't know about you, but I have hit walls like this. Can you relate to this picture of trying and trying and I'm so tired and, oh my goodness, it's just so hard? Not when you get your energy cleared up. So we're going to start talking about how to take care of all this, and it's called tapping, also known, I do an enhanced version of what's called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And I will tell you right off the bat, it looks like a crazy technique, but it is, oh, so powerful, especially when you know how to use it. So I've already kind of explained to you that everything is energy. Our thoughts manifest physically and emotionally through some of the stories I've talked about, through some of the ways that things can get locked and linked in. Tapping is an emotional acupuncture, but without the needles. So it's actually an acupressure. And there are certain points that will, you're tapping on meridian energy channels, and they run from your head to your feet, and when they get blocked, when they're putting in the needles, what they're trying to do is move that stagnation, move the energy that got stuck, get things moving, because when things are in the flow, things open up. So instead of doing it with needles, as in acupuncture, you can do a similar type of technique through acupressure, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute through some slides. Tapping provides clarity and brings resolution for those negative meets, the modeling, the emotions, the patterns, and the clarity comes when you are no longer fearful of the outcome that you didn't even know was there. So imagine if you apply this process to your money beliefs, or to your debt, or to the income or money traumas that you may unknowingly have. It can be life-changing. You can also use this, like I said, for love relationships or things that you want to program in, because not only when you pull out the negative and release that, you can program in amazing things. So this is kind of a body picture of where the tapping points are. And when you're tapping, you're doing like a tap, 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 tap on those points. And you'll see they're just described there. I'm going to take it a step further here and go into some pictures. So I know this looks crazy, and especially when you're doing it in a group, it does look crazy, and everybody's thinking the same thing, like, what are we doing here? But what this starts to do is it works on two levels. When you start tapping, you're not only moving energy by moving that meridian energy, but you're combining that with a powerful descriptives of what you want to move and what's blocked. And it works like twofold. When you're doing tapping, it kind of treats your body like a file cabinet, almost to say, where's that file? Where's that memory? Where's that stuck in my body? And it's amazing the memories that will come up when you tap. It's amazing the emotions that can show up when you tap. I've had more than a few clients, and I will just specifically say more than a few male clients, who got kind of freaked out by how quickly the emotion came up, because you've been holding it underneath like beach balls underwater. And do you have any idea the energy that sucks from us when we're holding things down like that? So these are some of the points you can see, okay, right here on the side of the hand, on the eyebrow point near the, closer at the end of the eyebrow, closer to the eye, closer to the nose, sorry about that. Side of the eye on the bone, underneath the eye, on the bone, underneath the nose, in the crooks of the chin. The collarbone is a little beneath the collarbone, actually, the wrist point, and then top of the head. So these are some of the points that take you through the tapping. So if we have time at the end of this, I'll be happy to try to lead and guide through. I can go back to that slide if we have time, so I can guide you and lead you through a tapping. But if we don't have time, in case we don't, and you want to learn more, you can go to my website. I have some tap-along videos that you can try out so you can get a rhythm and see how it feels. There's in-depth explanation about tapping and energy. If you are one of those that likes to have the research and the history and the theories behind why or how of this kind of energy work, you can go and hear some expert videos that I have on my website. There's explanation in blogs, my history. There are some video testimonials. I had mentioned I wanted to do this product called Catapulting to Confidence, which I eventually did. Somebody volunteered for it amazingly. And her testimonials are under the testimonials. They're video testimonials. And I would draw you to the one that says, well, you'd think I would know this off the top of my head, wouldn't you? I'm drawing a blank. I got a voice and a job that fell into my lap, something of those words, because she programmed in to her energy exactly what she wanted to draw. Now, we talk about affirmations, we talk about law of attraction. this technique can not only release the negative, but it can help you draw in the positive, and it really does have amazing, amazing effects. There are podcasts and blogs that you can read to get a little more familiar with what might be stuck, what might be happening, kind of like the stories that I shared in the beginning, but a little bit deeper. So, do we have any questions?
I think we have another poll question, right, that we were going to send up to the audience. Website, videos, and redesign your life. Okay, so we want to kind of get a feel for what people are thinking about this now that you've listened to what Joanne has to say. The poll is up and live. So let us know if you think that this is an energetic approach, or you're not sure it would make any difference. What do you think? And some people have asked, a couple questions came up during the webinar. You see that many of the resources that Joanne spoke about are right here on her website, trueauthenticpower.com. And also, for people who may have joined late or had to leave during the course of this, we do send this out in a link to you in the recorded version sometime in about a week. So you'll have this webinar in recorded version to reference in about 1 week.
That's a screenshot of the video page that's on my website. That first one there, an intro to tapping, will take you through a little bit even more of an explanation that I didn't share here about interruptions in your energy. And halfway through, there's an anxiety tap along that you can try out. So all of those videos have tapping in them, and you can try it out.
All right. We seem to have some pretty positive viewpoints on this so far. We do have time, I think, Joanne, if you want to try to lead some people actually through a little tapping exercise.
That would be great. That would be great.
Why don't we go, you want to go back to that slide with the points, tapping points shown on it.
Okay, so I'll call these out so you can follow along, but you'll kind of see visually what I'm talking about. And I do this over the phone with clients all the time. So now that you've seen where the points are and you have a little bit of an explanation here, I'll take you through something. So I want to just start with, how about if we tune into something within your body that might be giving you tension or tightness, maybe neck and shoulder, or maybe you're thinking about something that you have to do and you've got all tension in your stomach area and your solar plexus area, which is kind of a self-esteem area. You may have an ache or a pain or something going on in your body. Just tune into something that might be causing you, just kind of grabbing your attention, or maybe just an overall fatigue or tired or whatever, something that's grabbing your attention physically. And we'll see if we can change that. After you tune into that, if you can scale that on a 1 to 10 scale, because I want you to see how strongly your body might be able to react and how in just a few minutes there might be a change. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong would you say that tension or tightness or fatigue or ache or pain or something that you're dealing with, how strong is it, 10 being the worst? And then we're going to start tapping. And if, Lydia, could you just repeat what I say so that they know to do that? I'm going to ask to repeat out loud if you can. If you're someplace where you can't, just do it in your head, but tap along with the points that we're going through. So even though I have this tension or tightness, and a lot of times I feel the stress of it, I wonder if it's possible that I could move that or change it in a few minutes of time. I don't buy it. This looks crazy. How can that affect my physical body? But what if it could? I want to be open to it. And be able to release what I can. Even though this looks crazy. We're staying on the karate chop here. even though this looks ridiculous,
even though this looks ridiculous,
and I'm not buying that this could change anything.
and I'm not buying that this could change anything.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
I want to have proof.
I want to have proof.
I'm not going to just be a sucker to something that looks crazy.
I'm not just going to be a sucker to something that looks crazy.
But what if this does work?
But what if this does
It's
work?
rooted in acupuncture that's been around.
It's rooted in acupuncture that's been around.
And maybe if it can help me, I'm open to it.
And maybe if it can help me, I'm open to it.
I want to be open to it.
I want to be open to it.
But you're going to have to prove it to me first.
But you're going to have to prove it to me first.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Go to the eyebrow point. All this tension.
All this tension.
Side of the eye. You don't have, yeah, I'm telling them to go to the side of the eye.
That's fine.
You don't have to believe it for it to work.
You don't have to believe it for it to work.
Under the eye. But what if it could work for me?
But what if it could work for me?
Go to under the nose. I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
Chin. But what if I could release some tension?
But what if I could release some tension?
Collarbone. What if, when I'm in anxiety,
what if when I'm in anxiety?
Under the arm, this could be a fabulous tool to help on the spot.
This could be a fabulous tool to help on the spot.
Hit the inside of the wrist together. What if this could help me?
What if this could help me?
Top of the head, I want to be open.
I want to be open.
Go back to the eyebrow point. Releasing this tension.
Releasing this tension.
Side of the eye, I know I carry so much worry.
I know I carry so much worry.
Side of the eye, what if I could ease that and pull it out?
What if I could ease that and pull it out?
Under the nose, if only a little bit.
If only a little bit.
Under the chin, I want to be open.
I want to be open.
Collarbone, telling my body to calm down and relax.
Telling my body to calm down and relax.
Wrist, all this anxiety.
All this anxiety.
Top of the head, letting go of the worry.
Letting go of the worry.
Eyebrow, releasing the stress.
Releasing the stress.
Side of the eye, telling my body I'm safe.
Telling my body I'm safe.
Under the eye, I don't think this is going to work.
I don't think this is going to work.
Under the nose, but what if it could?
But what if it could?
Chin, if it works for PTSD.
If it works for PTSD.
Collarbone in war trauma.
And war trauma.
Wrist, what if it could work for me?
What if it could work for me?
Top of the head, I'm choosing to be open.
I'm choosing to be open.
And relaxed.
And relaxed.
Take a deep breath. And if you know about belly breathing, breathe from your belly. Now that was a quick few minutes, but I want you to tune back into that area that might have been tense or tight, where you might have had pain. What did you scale it at when we started? Did it come down at all? Did it stay the same? This was a really quick sample, but oftentimes when I'm doing group tapping, there are a lot of people in the room that feel a difference, or at least some kind of change. You might be feeling more of a buzz in your body. You might be feeling, and I will tell you, a release is if you felt the need to take a deep breath, or you maybe even started yawning. Those can be releases, and if that happened, something was changing in your energy to bring that about. You may or may not have had anything in a few minutes, but I at least wanted to give you a sample of what that's like and how it feels to do the tapping.
Okay. I can't read some of the comments that people have sent because they are kind of funny, but it does look like people joined along and gave this a shot. They did ask how hard should they be tapping these different areas?
Okay, so you know, it's kind of funny when I'm working with people in anger because they'll tap the bejeez on those points. You're just trying to stimulate. You're not trying to, it's not trying to hurt. It's just trying to stimulate the energy channels that are located in those places. So, you know, it doesn't have to be hard by any means, and you really don't want it to be hard because if you do enough rounds of tapping, you're going to be bruised. I mean, this is not supposed to cause you more pain.
And I think we should add to, and please, people feel free to go to Joanne's website where you will see this. On the image there on the slide, we left the one off under the arm.
Yeah, you know, there wasn't enough room.
Yeah, it was all nice and symmetrical there, but
yeah.
but there is one other point that you just mentioned once that's up sort of underneath
the arm, right?
Underneath your arm.
And those energy channels connect to different organs. So when we're talking about mind-body connection, that's why this is so powerful, because that energy, things start energetically first. They don't start with a symptom. And if you're going to the symptom, it's like putting a Band-Aid on, you know, a wound that needs to be lanced and cleaned out. When you're doing tapping, you're trying to get to the source. You're not, I go for the symptoms only when people are in crisis, just so we can pull down the effects of that symptom. But what I'm really looking for is, where's the thread that has you convinced that this has to be true? Where are the emotions in your body that has you convinced that's what you need to trigger, how you need to trigger? And you know, if you've ever been in a fight, flight, or freeze mode, when you've ever gone into an anxiety fog, you're off to the races before you even can think about it. It's such an automatic, knee-jerk reaction. This will start to calm that down. So imagine if you're going into something that you feel is anxiety-producing, or you're really ticked off at somebody. I mean, let's be real here. You know, people at work can really, or people at home, you can go into a bathroom stall and do this. You can visualize it at your desk. You don't even, if you're a good visualizer, I need the physical of doing it more than I like to do the visual. But the intent of moving energy is very powerful. And when you get into the rhythm of seeing how this can unleash and unlock, I'm telling you, it's like watching magic. And maybe that's too grandiose to say to maybe a bunch of people who might be new to energy, but any tapping practitioner will tell you that they see miracles happen. If you're any good at doing this technique, you see magic happen. What I want to tell you about is there is a download on my website too, because I mentioned that you not only can pull things out, but you can also put things in. You can program in. And there is a free download on my website called Design Your Life Now, and it takes you through some energetic questions, like how would you want to feel? Who do you love working with? So that you can get really clear on what stirs your soul, what's really in your makeup that you need to honor. And when you get clear on that, then there's a video that shows you how you can tap some of the things out that are preventing that and tap in what you want. It's a whole different way of looking at a goal sheet. It is not the normal goal sheet of, if I do this, then I'll get this. If I do this, you're trying to get to what's in your heart and soul, and that's why this is such a great mind, body, spirit technique.
We have a couple questions here. The first question is, are you supposed to do this in that particular order, and does this work for weight loss?
It does work for weight loss. It actually works for addictions. It actually works for anything that's causing you angst. What was the first part of that? Did you say?
Are you supposed to do the tapping in a particular order?
No. And if you miss a point or a couple, you're still moving energy and things will still move. But, you know, if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck and you get into a routine, you won't have to think about it. And I want you to pay attention to, you may not be able to see this from the screenshots of this, but it kind of almost goes, if you start at the eyebrow, to the side of the eye, under the eye, to the nose, to the chin, it kind of looks like a question mark. You're kind of asking your body. And if I don't have to think about this part of it, once you get into a rhythm, the mechanics of this are so easy. Getting to some of the roots is not always, beginners have a little bit more trouble with that, but I've seen miraculous things change for people who are just tapping on themselves too. You have this with you all the time, no special tools. You know, wherever you go, you've got your fingertips, you've got your visualization. Even if you're in a meeting and you can't take time to tap, you can visualize those points if you're that skilled. I can't say I'm that skilled, but I've been doing this for a long time, but it's just not up my alley to do it that way.
Okay, question, is it related to the rhythm of how you're speaking and working through this tapping?
You know, more to the point of what you're trying to get to is the feelings. So when you're doing a point, you kind of develop your own rhythm. It's like 7 or 8 taps, and you move to the next point. But I stay on the karate chop a lot longer than most practitioners because a lot of clients that I've run into have digestion problems, and that is a small intestine point. And it's also a point that says, yeah, I want to change, but no, I really don't. Yeah, I want to change, but no, I really don't. It kind of stirs up the energy on that particular point. For weight loss or addictions, absolutely. And that's part of the thing with, I'm not a counselor. I'm not diagnosed, treating, or curing here. Please, I'm talking strictly from an energetic standpoint. When your energy gets locked into or skewed in a certain way, you don't know what kind of funky things will be attached. I mentioned the client with the social anxiety. She also had car sickness. She also had gluten issues, and both of those totally eliminated after tapping. And we did tap on the car sickness, and that was a family pattern. She watched everybody else in her family have car sickness. you know, people think about heredity. I think some of those things are learned, and I'm strictly talking from an energetic point of view. I don't have the credentials of a health background. I'm telling you, though, I have seen things like that change by releasing the energy that's got you so bunched up and blocked.
Okay, question, have you used essential oils in conjunction with tapping? They had attended a webinar where oils like lavender were used to help with EFT.
You know, if I've been exposed to essential oils, and, you know, part of what I learned through energy is on my website. I won't go into all the things that I learned or got exposed to, but I had a really heavy dose. When I had a life-changing event, I was trying to find anything in the alternative world that could help. You know, if you feel like that, you're drawn to that, you need to pay attention to that. I'm not so drawn to essential oils. Some of them I are. Some of them I am. I have peppermint oil in my office always because people like melt, you know, in my office when they've released all that energy. They may feel like a noodle, and you don't want them to fall asleep driving home. So I have peppermint oil just for to rejuvenate. If you're called to do something like that, listen to your gut. I'm not called that way, but it doesn't mean it won't work for you. It doesn't mean it won't be an enhancement for you. I would listen. That's what I'm talking about. When you listen to your intuition, you may be very drawn to something that I'm not, or vice versa. Listen to your gut. Pay attention to it.
Is tapping something that can be explored alone, or is it something that you think people really should see someone like yourself with expertise in this area to become more practiced in it?
Yes, and yes. You can explore it on your own, and some people have gotten amazing response. For the bigger, deeper issue, and this is one of the phrases that I hate to hear because it's a myth. People will say to me, oh, tapping didn't work for me. What I would suggest to you is that you didn't have a way to get to the core issue, because I'm telling you, when you pop those things open, if you go and listen to Cindy's testimonials, she didn't, you know, here she is a PhD, obviously an intelligent woman. She's, you know, she could do circles, work circles around other people, and yet she didn't realize how limiting beliefs were affecting her. You know, you can explore those things on your own. I will tell you, there are more and more things coming up all over the place. I have some a few videos on YouTube. There are short videos on YouTube all over the place. If you look up EFT, more and more information is coming out of the woodwork because it works. It works, it works, it works. And, you know, people who have medical backgrounds are starting to learn about this because it gets to the core. So, yes, you can do it on yourself. If you're not getting any response, I would suggest you find a practitioner. And you need to find a practitioner that you feel real comfy with. You know, that's your session. You're trying to get to the deepest, you know, sometimes most intimate things, and you need to feel comfortable with who you're working with. That may be male or female. I will also tell you that this can be done by phone sessions. I was going through a very tough crisis situation, and I just wanted to be able to release and emote. I didn't want someone to see me. I've done phone sessions all over the country. I've done in-person sessions. I've done group sessions. You know, there's a wide variety of how you can use this. I've done group sessions for businesses. You know, if you've got things that are helter-skelter in your department or in your business, you know, you soothe everybody's energy, and it's amazing how people can start to work better together. Or people will somehow fade out. Because when you change the energy, it changes people, places, and situations around you.
Question, does touch work the same as a tap?
I think, you know, it can, certainly with the intention. I tend to tap only, I guess I must be a doer when I'm working with energy, but certainly a touch or visualization or tapping, any of that you feel is working for you, I would suggest you try it out. There's not a one-fits-all.
And how often, is this something that you schedule a time and you do it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, or is it when you're in a situation that you're feeling the stress and the tension?
Well, here's the thing. When you are feeling the stress and tension, the sooner you can get right into it, it kind of stops. It interrupts that energy. It like says, nope, we're not doing it that way. We're doing it this way. Because what happens when you get into an energetic or subconscious groove like that, it's, you know, it's like a groove in the pavement. You keep going back to that groove. It's like a scratch in the record. You keep going back to that scratch. So the quickest you can address it while you're in the middle of the feeling about it, you know, you can be talking over the phone and crabbing and complaining to someone. Tap along. Tap when you're crabbing them. It's like venting, and you're moving that energy because you're in the feeling right then and there. That's the best time to tap. There's no right or wrong. The thing is, how long do you want it to stay? You know, you could do it when you're in the bathroom. You can do it when you're waiting for something to be cooked, you know, on the stove. How soon do you want to get over something? You know, I'm kind of like yesterday would be great. So I tend to tap every day. You know, it's a kind of, you have to feel what feels right for you. The more you can do it, the faster you might get something to move.
Okay, our last question. The question is it all just physical, or do you have to focus on something mentally like the suppressed issue?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't go into anything deep in this webinar because it's not really appropriate. And when I go, you know, do one-on-one sessions, we go very deep. And I try to thread together loops and links because, oh, here it is, and here it is. And because you'll find that you're replaying the same kind of thing. It might be with different people. Have you ever known someone that dates the same person over and over again? They just changed the name. It's the same personality. It's the same kind of energy. It's the same kind of scenario. People get into that pattern with bosses. They get into that pattern with friendships. It's, you know, the more you can tap on things that are in your way as soon as you notice it or your body's reacting, and you might even, I didn't do that so much here, but you know, you can tap on, I feel this pain here, or I feel this tension here, and label it so that your subconscious says, oh, yep, we're paying attention to that area. It does bring huge awareness and relief.
All right, terrific. Well, that is all the time that we have today. Additional questions can be emailed to ritalum@rit.edu or tweeted to @RIT_alumni with the hashtag #MeRITWebinars, and we will direct your questions to Joanne. Note that all participants will receive an email from us in the next few days with a link to today's webinar recording. We want to remind you all to visit Joanne's website, www.trueauthenticpower.com, for the free download of the Design Your Life mini course found on her homepage. You'll also find a number of videos you can view and more information on how you can connect with Joanne. Many thanks to you, Joanne, for being our distinguished speaker today, and thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for today's webinar.